Hello and welcome to a very special edition of India Global. I'm Gaurie, Dwivedi. We focus the next 30 minutes on the Trump takeover. On his very first day back, President-elect Donald Trump is expected to sign roughly 200 executive actions, which include executive orders, presidential memoranda, proclamations and any other directives that a president can sign. What are they going to be on? A range of issues, whether it's military, immigration, border security, diversity, as well as making public the remaining records related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. The president-elect also discussed plans for TikTok, saying he had no choice but to save the popular social media app because of the jobs it creates. This is what he said at his Baga rally on the eve of being sworn in as the 47th President of the US. All right, to talk more about what this means from an India point of view, what are the areas that we need to focus on? What could be the big shining spots and the bright spots in the India-US relationship? What could be the areas where we need to probably keep our guardrails up? To talk on that and more, I have Ambassador Arun Singh, who's been India's ambassador to the US 16-17, if I'm not mistaken, sir. Thanks so much for joining me on India Global. Let me start by asking you, sir, in terms of, as someone who understands the India-US relationship very well, what do you think could be Donald Trump's vision for India-US relationship in his second term?
Even in his first term, he had reached out positively to the Indian-American community, and he had taken several steps that were positive for India. He had placed India on strategic trade authorization level 1 for highest level technology releases and had articulated the strategy for Indo-Pacific, signaling that he saw India as a valuable partner in the context of the challenges they faced in the Pacific, including vis-a-vis China. Now, given all that, at this stage, because President Trump will be deciding his policies based on his own political priorities. So at the moment, we have to first see what is the strategy that he works out on China. And there is some confusion there because in his national security team, the national security advisor, the Secretary of State designate, he has chosen people who are seen as China hawks and have outlined the challenges that China poses to the US. But in his economic team, Elon Musk is a very close advisor. There is the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. These are people who are heavily invested in the China relationship. And as you mentioned, for example, he's delaying the ban on TikTok, although the previous administration and the US Congress had determined that TikTok was a national security challenge for the US. He had invited the Chinese president for the inauguration, and of course the vice president is up for that. So what the signal will be on China, we have to see. But despite whatever policy they may adopt on China, I think the message is clear that he wants the US to maintain its preeminent position globally. To do that, US has to deal with the economic, military, technology challenge for China. For that, they need India as a partner. Because India is the only other country, 1.4 billion people. We have a strong tech, skilled human capital. 20% of the global talent for semiconductor design is located in India. So he sees value in the India partnership.
Indeed. You mentioned about the fact that there are two China hawks in his team. How do you see Trump's policy action towards China being dictated, whether it's Marco Rubio's view or whether it is the National Security Advisor's view? And how much do you see that impacting India?
So as I mentioned to you, there's going to be a big battle between his national security team and the economic team, because they'll come out with different recommendations related to China. And it has been said in the past that Trump encourages fighting in his team and then he chooses what works for him politically. So what exactly will be the policy on China remains to be seen. He's signaling that even though he wants to have the competition in China, he wants to have a stable relationship. But whatever he decides on China, my assessment would be that China will be seen as a technology competitor. And if US wants to maintain its preeminent position globally, which both Biden said it and Trump says it, then in that context, they will attach value to the India relationship. Because the US company realized that for their global leadership in innovation, India is an important partner. Today, there are 1,700 what are described as global capability centers in India. doing cutting-edge R&D and technology development for global operations of multinational companies.
Indeed.
So that way, it's an important partnership. But the worry would be that he may seek to impose tariffs related to India, because he has, very often described India as a tariff king. He's not been satisfied with the kind of market access that was given in his first term.
Yes.
So we have to watch what he does on trade.
Indeed. Which also brings me to ask you, Ambassador Singh, about vehicles like the Quad. Do you see them reshaping under Trump 2.0? Do you see them becoming more about hard power, whether it's military or maybe a clearer stance in supply chains, than the soft power vehicles that they are right now, whether it's disaster, vaccines, do you see that change happening?
So if you recall, it was in President Trump's first term that the Quad had been revived. It was languishing since 2007. And it was under President Trump that, as part of the Indo-Pacific strategy, they revived the Quad, which met at mid-official and then foreign minister level. Then in the Biden administration, it was taken to summit level meetings. And it has gone beyond just soft power. They carry out military exercises. You have the Malabar series of exercises. And they've coordinated, for looking at not just HADR, but building up gradually interoperability, although they don't describe it in the same way. But I think what might happen is that some of the areas of focus in the Quad, such as on climate change issues, those may not get the same level of attention in a Trump administration. So I think the ultimate success of the Quad lies in the benefits that they bring to other countries in the region. Only then they will want to partner with the Quad and not just with China. So I think with that in mind, the soft power dimension certainly has to be sustained.